everyone, welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer battle. This is going to be the Tomb Kings versus the High Elves, who are currently in the forest over there. For my army, this is going to be a construct-focused army, so we have a front line of just skeletal warriors who are designed to just hold the line for as long as possible. Behind those, we have some anti-large skeletal spearmen. We have 3 of those, and then the actual oomph of our force lies in these 3 Ushabti Great Bows, because they're just a very solid unit. You can't really argue that. They're, I think, one of the staples of the Tomb Kings. Then we also have 2 of the Tomb Scorpions, which are another one of, I think, the best units that the Tomb Kings can field. They're just good. The Tomb Scorpions just really ridiculously good. I think they're great. And then we also have the Necrosphinx, which is another one of those units that you just have to respect because they can beat down lords, heroes, cav of varying degrees of elite status. They're just it's one of those imposing figures you really just need to watch out for and kind of play around, really. Then this army is being led by Archon the Black, which is, I think, my first time ever fielding him, because when the Tomb Kings came out, I didn't even play multiplayer at that point anymore. And so in my resurgence of multiplayer, I'm honestly still learning the Tomb Kings, even though they've been out for 8-9 months at this point. I'm still, kind of adapting to learn them and play them in a multiplayer setting. So, Archon the Black, very decent stats, especially for a caster. So 90 armor, 80 leadership, 76 speed. Well, that's because he's on his horse. 40 melee attack and 50 melee defense. Not a duelist, but still pretty good stats for a caster, because he does cast spells. And 450 base weapon strength, not armor focused, obviously, because there's not the AP symbol there, but still really strong. Now, I think Archon the Black is probably supposed to be fielded on his chariot because of one of his items here. So we have the Tomb Blade of Archon, which is a skeletal summon. So that's why I picked it during the army screen, because again, I'm still learning them. I didn't realize at the time that this is only engaged or recharges when engaged in melee. So you have to have him actually attacking people for this thing to recharge so you can cast some more. So again, I think this item really lends him to be on a chariot instead of just a horse. But still, it's fine. He has 90 armor. He's pretty durable that way. We also have a Staff and a Gas, which is going to give us more Winds of Magic throughout the battle. And then the Libra Mortis, which is a 3-charge, 15-second buff for physical resistance and leadership, which 15 seconds doesn't sound like that much. Because, I mean, it's not, 15 seconds. What is that? Well, if you break it down, every unit in this game has an attack interval, and attack intervals, I think, typically range from like, it's been a long time since I looked at this, but I want to say between 3.5 and 4.5 seconds. I think some of like the elite halberd infantry, like the Chaos Chosen, unless it's been changed, which it could have been changed by now because it's been a year since I looked this up. They had like a over 5-second attack interval. But anyway, the point is, in a battle, in an AoE of like this, with 40 meters, you could probably cover, I mean, depending on how blobby it is, it could be 2, 3, 4 units, depending on how many people are in the blob. So you have multiple units, multiple stacks of units that are, 100 strong, that are getting this buff over 15 seconds. And so with the attack intervals in mind, if they're fighting a unit, that unit that they're fighting, that's 3 or 4 attacks worth of like 100 enemies attacking your unit that is going to be, 44% negated. So when you kind of break it down in that sense, 15 seconds can be a lot if you have 44% physical resistance, because, there's 100... let's say Empire swordsmen fighting this skeletal warrior. So for 15 seconds, those 100 swordsmen, for like 4 attacks, are dealing basically half the damage against your skeletal warriors, which is going to make them survive longer or turn the tide of the battle. So yeah, 15 seconds doesn't seem that long. I would like it to be a little bit longer than 15 personally, but still, 15 seconds can go a long way when you think about how many attacks and how many units are actually involved, under that buff, or you can kind of consider it a debuff for an enemy if they're fighting someone buffed, Anyway, so that's what that is. I also took the Purple Sun Azarias because I enjoy having fun with Vortex spells, even though they suck. And then a Spirit Leech to try and, Spirit Leech down the leadership of the High Elves, because they are all really good. Alariel's really good. Tyrion's really good. Fighting Nobles can be annoying, so I brought it for that reason. Then my Will Be Done is going to be an ability of Archon. And again, another reason why you probably should bring him on his chariot, because it's going to be +5 melee defense and attack to all allies around him in a 30-meter area. This is always on. So again, I kind of think I chose the wrong mount here, basically, is what I'm saying. Then we also have the Curse, which is only going to proc once, and this is actually shared between a lot of the Tomb King leadership, I believe. So when their hit points drop below 50%, there's going to be a AoE debuff to enemies nearby that's going to be basically like a... I don't think it's as strong as like a Spirit Leech, or not a Spirit Leech, but Fate of Buna. But still, it's going to be basically free damage that's going to proc around your Lord when he drops below 50%. So it's kind of a neat mechanic. So we also have the Life Legion passive because he has access to the Death Lore, and then just a bunch of like random stuff. So that is Archon the Black and the spells that I took with him in my army. For the High Elf army, We have Alariel, the Radiant, which, you know, with all of her healing buffs, she took False Protection, she took Shield of Thorns, which is going to increase physical resistance, and weapon strength, I think is what this thing does. Yeah, physical resistance and also increases weapon damage. Then, of course, she also brought the Star of Avalon. Listen, we all know Alariel. She's picked all the time. For the main army here, we have a lot of renowned units. We have the Pure Main Company, which have the Armor Sundering ability on their attacks, so they are very annoying to fight. And on top of that, they also have the Bodyguard. I think they're a pretty cool unit. With the Sundering and the Bodyguard stacked on top of each other, they kind of mix well with... well, I mean, you could probably stick like a Lore Master of Hoeth in there if you really want to, if you want to have a lot of fun. Not many people play a little with Lore Masters because they don't have any mobility, but I like the Lore Master. I like the idea of a Lore Master. But anyway, I think the Pure Main Company is a pretty solid choice. We have 2 Sword Masters of Hoeth, 2 additional normal White Lions along this front line. In the back line, we have 2 normal Spearmen, and then the renowned Scions of Mathlin, which have that... let's get up close here. They have the damage resistance aura around them for all units around them, which is kind of neat. It's like they have Bodyguard for everybody in the game if you are close enough to them. Oh, but I did forget that this will drop if your mana is less than 50%. So if you are casting a ton of spells, then they don't actually have this active. I did forget about that. That is a neat little feature and probably makes them not as worth it because of course you're going to spend all your Winds of Magic in the game. Of course you will. Huh. I don't know if they're really worth it then. I mean, they still have amazing stats, I guess. You know, very tanky stats. But that's, I kind of wish that wasn't on... You know, whatever, it's fine. Then we also have the Everqueen's Court Guards, which are the Sisters of Avalon renowned unit. They have amazing melee stats for an archer. They have really good range stats because they are the Sisters of Avalon. They are a unit that I don't think the High Elves ever really needed. They were already really good, and then CA was like, hey, why don't we stick an elite armor-piercing archer unit on the High Elves? Sure, why not? Yeah, why not, CA? Where's the love for all the other cool races? Like, where's some Lizardman love? I know it's coming. I know there's a DLC coming for the Lizardmen, but still, like, where's the Beastman love? Where's love for everybody else? Why do they get an elite armor-piercing range? They don't need this. But anyway, this is the renowned unit. They're cool, I guess, but I would probably just choose the normal ones for the cheaper price. Then we also have the Keepers of the Flame, which is a really cool unit because when they die, they blow up. That's all. They have amazing stats. They're still an anti-large magic damage dealing Phoenix Guard, but they're just really cool because they blow up when they die, and it looks neat. And that is the High Elf Army. Pretty elite and renowned units, heavy. Over here, we have already started to try and focus down Alariel the Radiant with our 3 Ushoptic Great Bows, doing a lot of decent damage there. She is casting... I'm sorry, we casting Spear Elite. She is going to be casting Shields of Thorn to try and block some of that damage that we're dealing with her. But unfortunately for her... I had already started to reposition my army from here to up here because I wanted to try and get the high ground because at this point I don't think I even see the army. I know it's in there, but I don't see it. So I'm just trying to use this time to try and give us like the high ground because we all know that wins duels. So I'd actually stopped firing at her before she even casted the Shield of Thorns, so that was just a waste. And so, you know, that's a little minor victory for the Tomb Kings there, is making her waste mana. Obviously, that's what I was going for, right? Obviously, I was trying to bait out the Shield of Thorns because I'm such a high-level player like that. Obviously, that's my sarcastic voice. Anyway, so we are just, again, repositioning, and then the High Elves are going to be coming out of the forest. I didn't know at this point if they were going to just try and camp in there and maybe trying to harass me with the Alariel. I really didn't know what their plan was, but they are coming out to meet us. So instead of finishing my movement on top of the hill, I was like, you know what, this is fine. We'll just engage them. I think we're going to get a line battle going on right there. I am going to move up here in a moment. In the meantime, I think my great bows are going to start firing. Yep, there we go. We're going to start firing into the Sisters of Avalon because in my army, unfortunately, there are a lot of threats here. One, we have the Pure Main Company because they have the Armor Sundering, which is going to be able to lower the armor of all of our very tanky and armored constructs, which are the main threat in my army. So that's a big threat. Obviously, the Keepers of the Flame are a huge threat because, again, my constructs are all large. And then also the Everqueen's Court Guards are going to be a huge threat. And we need to take them down because they are a ranged armor-piercing threat. So that, in my head, I range threats from 1, 2, 3, and then, like, everything else is behind those. And then, of course, Alariel. But in my head, that's what I'm thinking. So we're going to try and focus down the Everqueen's Court Guards right now, the Sisters of Avalon. Now, they're not really heavily armored, and the Ushopti have armor piercing, so it's not, I mean, maybe their ideal target, but they need to die. These need to die, or at least we need to weaken them. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And we're going to be slowing the High Elf advance by just throwing our Skeletal Warriors into their lines. And that's what these Skeletal Warriors are here to do. I'm going to try my best to keep our Tomb Scorpions on units like the Swordmasters and the White Lions and try and keep them away from the Keepers of the Flame, which right here, I'm using one of my charges This was before I knew that they had to recharge in melee. I don't know that for like another 2 minutes when I'm trying to cast the spell again. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I'm like, oh, it needs to be recharged in melee. But anyway, so my first cast here is going to be against the White Lions, because we need to keep the White Lions pinned out back here and allow time for our constructs to do their damage without having to worry about their insane anti-large attack damage there. So we're going to pin those down with a summon skeleton unit. Again, we're just going to hold the line for as long as we can. I believe I'm going to be switching up targets between Alarielle, between the Everqueen's Court, and also between the Keepers of the Flame. Just kind of as the time goes on, I keep mixing between those three for the most part. I think I actually may save the Keepers for last, because I know that they have to go through lines and lines of Skeleton Warriors. But anyway, so still just trying to kill the Everqueen's Court. I think at this point we're going to be switching fire, because I've now brought them below 50% of their units, so they're not as a big of a threat anymore, because it's only, you know, less than half of them firing now. I'm going to throw a Skeletal Warrior here to just try and do some damage to Alarielle the Radiant. Again, Archon the Black is still kind of tanky with 90 armor and some decent melee defense as well. So just kind of exchanging some damage with Alarielle right there as our Skeletal Warriors tank the rest of the enemy army. Again, I'm trying to micro our Tomb Scorpions so they stay on the White Lions or the Sword Masters of Hoeth. Getting a summoned Ushabti here because we are already at our max. I honestly don't know what the Realm of Souls. We're at our max Realm of Souls already, so we're summoning the Ushabti to try and help deal with the Sword Masters of Hoeth and try and keep them pinned just long enough. There it goes. Okay, so right here. Sorry, no, I'm talking a lot. But we're pinning the Sword Masters there because honestly, there's not much left between the very elite high elf front line and our squishy bits. In fact, I'm pulling back these Skeletal Warriors from this flank because we kind of doubled up on these White Lions. I probably should have pulled back both, like 2 of these units, but we're trying to create another line as much as we can between them and these. But what happened here, and if any of you play multiplayer and have had any kind of laggy matches, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you cast spells in a laggy match, because I know I selected it right here on top of the Sword Masters and the Phoenix Guard. So you'll select it, the AoE goes down, like the circle goes down, and then a second later, you're moving your cursor somewhere else, and it reselects and actually casts somewhere else. That happens in laggy matches sometimes, and that's why I casted a Purple Son of Xerius on, like, the edge of a spearman unit instead of, oh, I don't know, this blob of renown units that would have been amazing on top of and just murdered everybody. So thank you, laggy casting. It's the worst. It's the worst. If you haven't played multiplayer, it sucks because you cast a spell, the spell like icon, the circle goes down, you're like, okay, that's fine, and then you move your cursor, then it's like, oh, no, you wanted to cast a spell over here? Okay, I got you, buddy. And I'm like, no, don't cast a spell over there. And it's all happening in the middle of a battle when you're trying to micromanage everything. You just get upset. You're like, ah, ah, ah. That's probably the sound effect I made when that happened. Anyway, that's why I cast the Purple Son of Xerius over here on the edge of a spearman, and it goes off to do absolutely nothing, and it costs so much. Actually, let's come back. Okay, yeah, I didn't think it did anything. And it costs so much, so it's just a wasted spell, and it's just like, oh, that hurts so much. But anyway, we have a Tomb Scorpion pulling back from the front line here to try and finish off these Sword Masters of Hoeth because it's really good at killing those. The other Tomb Scorpion is working on the White Lions over here. I'm just keeping the Pure Main Company fighting the Skeletal Warriors, where the Sundering honestly doesn't really do anything. So I'm kind of cool with them just fighting against the Skeletal Warriors. Again, I'm kind of ignoring the Sisters of Avalor because they are minus half their strength, and there are bigger threats on the battlefield, like trying to focus down Alarielle. I'm switching up targets. Actually, maybe I was shooting the White Lions. Maybe I probably meant to select her, but I maybe just misclicked on the White Lions instead. I'm also going to be switching up the fire from the Great Bows onto the Phoenix Guard here pretty soon. Whenever you see this aura, it's probably already been cast once or twice, but this is the Liber Mordicus. So this is when we're having a damage resistance buff in this area for 15 seconds. That's what that graphic looks like. And then the Necrosphinx, I think it's just been kind of going in and out of the melee lines. I haven't really been targeting Alarielle that well. I know I sent the Necrosphinx at this point against her once when she was dueling Archon back here, I believe. But then she fled, and, well, then the Necrosphinx just kind of does what he does and kills some infantry because there's really no large targets to hit. We are getting kind of focused down, though, by those 26 Everqueen's Court Guards, so it may have been a mistake to leave them alive at all, but I just thought, you know what? There's bigger threats at this point. We still have Sword Masters running in our face. We still have a lot of White Lions. Alarielle's still alive. Keepers of the Flame are still alive. So I'm just trying to deal with some other threats, and I'm going to, I think, try and dodge these at this point. Over here, another one of the Alarielle healing blob things go up on the Sword Masters of Hoeth. They may be hitting both of them, I'm not entirely sure. But you see that we have the Pure Main Company down to about half strength. I'm trying to focus them down now with both of the Tomb Scorpions, since they are pretty separated from the rest of the anti-large that actually matters, which is the Keepers of the Flame. So I'm like, you know what, this is a good opportunity. We can do some damage to these White Lions. It's going to take a while if they pull the Keepers away. So So that is why we're up there dealing with them at this point. I did some more damage to Lario with our Ushabti Grepo, who are now trying to pull back into the edge of the forest because we are now, our lines are broken. Our Skeletal Warriors are basically all gone. We're summoning a second Skeletal Warrior here because I've been engaged in melee for the only reason to summon more Skeletal Warriors. That's the only reason I'm even fighting these Sword Masters of Hoeth with Archon, because I'm like, I just need summons. So we managed to get another summon on time to try and keep the Keepers of the Flame and the Scions pinned down here. They've been pinned for a long time, and now you're going to see a bunch of explosions because I'm finally like, you know what, we need to lower their numbers. So we're now targeting them with these Shopti Great Bows, and so it's, again, it's really cool when you see them blow up. It's just, they get shot and they blow up. Someone blow up. There we go. See, it's so cool. It does look really sweet when they die. Anyway, over here we are routed one of the Sword Masters of Hoeth, so I'm actually going to be chasing these Sword Masters to try and either shatter them or try and get them away, so far away from the battle, in hopes that when they come back from routing, that my enemy won't notice, they won't see them. Because that's a common thing in these games. You know, your enemies or your your units will like route off the screen from what you're looking at and away from the battle, and then they'll just like come back from routing right outside the screen, and then you just don't notice them for a while. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm trying to get them away at least far enough so that the enemy just kind of forgets them, hopefully. That's the plan. Also, I'm engaged in melee up here, so we're recharging our skeletal staff. Again, the two Tomb Scorpions, now the Necrosphinx, are still trying to kill the Pyramid Company, which is making it easier for these Spearmen to do more damage. The Spearmen are not AP focused, but you gotta remember the Pyramid Company, again, is sundering the armor of all three of our constructs, so that lowers the armor so that the Spearmen do more damage. Again, this is why this is a big threat, because all of our constructs have high armor and rely on that armor to keep them alive for a long time. So I'm trying to focus them down right here. Meanwhile, our Shepta Great Bows have just destroyed the Keepers of the Flame because we needed to. Because in this late game, I have no more chaff. I have no more fodder units to throw into the Keepers. So I'm going to have to fight them with our constructs. So before we fight them, I have to lower their numbers. These Shopti Great Bows are now at very low hit points, and they're being, or not hit points, but ammo, and they're being charged by a lot of units. And it was at this point, I had two options. I could either sacrifice my mobility and just charge into the High Elf army, who lacks mobility because they didn't build for mobility, or I can utilize the effect, or the fact that all of our constructs in our Shopti have a greater movement speed than any High Elf infantry. So I'm going to kind of go on a fast forward here. There's those Sword Masters, by the way. It takes them a while to put them, well, now they're aware. So what's going on here is our Shopti are going to be taking a journey, and they're going to be eventually ending up over here. Our constructs are going to be leading this blob over here, and we're going to re-engage around here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to try and frustrate the enemy and force them to take bad attacks. I'm going to try and get them to separate their units, and then we're going to use our construct blob to attack a specific unit that has been slightly separated from the rest of the blob and try to destroy them as soon as possible. Because at this point, Alarielle, I honestly don't remember if I shot her down, because I wasn't looking during this replay right here. I don't remember if I shot her down or if she just routed. I think we shot her down with the Ushabti Great Bows a little while ago. But anyway, she is dead, and you can see that the leadership of the High Elves, which is really high, has been affected. Because we still have powerful constructs, their leader is gone. So I'm like, you know what? This is a good opportunity, because all of our constructs do fear and terror, and these people are not immune to fear and terror. The Keepers maybe. You know, this is a good time to actually just double check. Let's see, Spearmen. No. The Pyramid Company is not. Where's the Keepers? Did I finish them off at this point? Oh, there they are. So the Keepers are exuding a fear, which I forgot they did, which means they are immune to fear. But they're not immune to terror. Sorry, I'm just kind of relearning here. Listen, there's a lot of things to remember in this game. Every single unit, what their stats and traits are. Okay, so they're not immune to terror, but they are immune to fear. But my point is, the High Elf army is not immune to fear and terror. Our constructs cause fear and terror, so their leadership is already kind of shaking. So if you charge into an enemy, that's going to be a hit to their penalty, to their leadership, because they're getting charged. If you're a big construct and a stronger enemy than they are, then that sometimes is a debuff to your morale as well. I believe it's called stronger enemies nearby. So they're getting charged by a stronger enemy, so that's multiple debuffs. And the leadership is gone, so it's already, or their leader is gone, so that's already a debuff to their leadership. So, and then you couple that with fear and terror, then their fear is going to activate, which lowers their leadership by 10, I believe, and then that may bring them into terror range. And if you can terror route the army, then they will all shatter. If you can terror route everyone at the same time, that is, before they come back from terror. So that is what I'm thinking of right now. I'm going to try, and oops. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to try and just charge in our construct blob, who are all heavily damaged. And at this point, if I just charge in without, you know, doing like a charge, leave, I would lose 100%. Because there's enough anti-large here, the Pyramid Company, who I'm casting a Spear Leech on, they would bring me down. If I choose to fight the way the High Elves would want me to fight right now, we would lose. So again, we have to use our superior mobility, and there we go. So this Swordmaster, I know it looks like they're very close, but like we have this massive blob here of anti-large, then we have the Spearmen barely trailing behind. So we're going to charge in there. I wonder if we can actually see these debuffs I'm talking about here. So you can see the leadership is already very low. Here we go. So, damage sustained because they're almost dead, so minus 45. They are charging, which gives them a leadership buff, but the Lord is dead, so that's a minus 10. They are frightened by enemy units because they are not immune to fear, so that's a minus 8. They are attacked in the flanks, and they are also exhausted. So they're not getting the penalty for a stronger unit nearby, but they are under a lot of penalties. So now this brings them into the range of terror routing. So I think they should route by terror here. Maybe not. They should, I think. They're definitely low enough. But there we go. There we go. All right, so then they broke, and then they were actually going to shatter there. But I just want to show you like all the debuffs that you need to think about in leadership. Let's go check on the leadership of these other units. What's affecting them? Lord dead, frightened by enemies, attacked by artillery. Also, the nearby friends are routing, so that is another debuff you have to worry about. And their flanks are exposed, I guess, technically, maybe because they're just all blobbed up, and then, you know, they got flanks over here, and there's arc on the black over there. So this is a thing you gotta worry, or you gotta sometimes think about. What is affecting them? It's a big deal in this game. Morale is a huge deal. I'm kind of surprised they haven't been hit by the bigger, stronger enemies nearby. Artillery. I did not think about that, but artillery is a debuff. Like if you hit someone with a cannon or something, they will get the artillery debuff to their leadership because they're getting attacked by artillery. And I never even thought of, because the Necrosphinx is a siege attacker. They have that trait, so this is considered artillery. That is so interesting. So not only does this thing exude fear and terror, it also is going to hit people with a siege attacker leadership debuff. Huh. I never really thought of that. Sorry. Alright, let's keep going. That's pretty cool. So that's another minus 8 that I can always kind of guarantee on their leadership. Huh. Cool. Anyway, so we're just kind of charging and trying to take the fights that we want to take here. So now the Pyramid Company will separate a little bit, so we're going to be charging down here, trying to do some damage to them. Meanwhile, our Ushabti Great Bows were still running away from the other blobs who are now meeting, because remember, they split their army in half, basically, to chase Ushabti and to chase our constructs. Now we have a lot of space to continue firing our missiles, so we are holding their attention with our constructs and firing into their blob with the remaining missiles of our Ushabti Great Bows. Again, this is how we want the fight to go down. They do not have the mobility. We do. We get to pick and choose at this point how we fight because we are faster than they are. That is the benefit of having a mobile army and, you know, against an infantry one. So we're focusing down the rest of the Keepers of the Flames, so they're not going to be, you know, something that we have to worry about. You can see that they're now going to rout. And now, since all the friends are routing, the leadership of everyone else is starting to rout, and now we're starting to get a chain rout. These White Lions are going to charge, which gives them a temporary morale buff with the 15, but they're going to get charged in the rear, so that's going to kind of counteract that. They're, you know, they're surrounded. All the friends are routing. The power bar is in our favor, which is going to be another debuff, and there we go. We're going to get a mass rout on the remaining High Elf units. There you go. In case you never knew about, you know, how leadership works, there's a lot of things that factor into why your leadership is low. It's not just based on how many hit points you have left on a unit. And again, I learned something today. I never even thought of the Necrosphinx as a siege attacker, but he does have a siege attacker trait, which then, I guess, translates into being attacked by a siege unit, which is a leadership debuff. That's... Huh. It's very cool to play a game for multiple years, and then you're still learning things. Or, like, that's something maybe I knew a long time ago, but I had forgotten at this point, because, I mean, you know, it's kind of a minor thing in the grand scheme of things, but still, it's a cool little thing that maybe I'll try and think of more. Anyway, good game to Bento, and the High Elves, they got a ton of kills against our fodder, but we were lucky that we had a bunch of mobile units, and we picked and chose our fight. And it happened to net a win for us, so thank you for watching, and let's go see the cinematic view, because I have talked enough. Look at all these pretty High Elves and their pristine armor. Huh. It's about to get real bloodied. disruption these units have. It's so cool. Let them go. Oh, that waste of purple sun. Oh, look at that roll! There he goes, off to join his friend. I think they get caught up here on the Skeleton Warriors. Whoa, hello. Mr. Arca on the black door. Oh, they're blowing up! Yeah, they're blowing up! I think we should start seeing a lot of explosions. Yeah, there we go. Oh, beautiful. All these shots are just focusing on them. Oh! 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 God, that combo! Through the, like, they were already dead when they were impaled, but then he throws them up and then slices them with both arms. Jesus. That's overkill. That was cool to see. I don't think I've seen that one before. Like, this is where we retreat. We're like, get the hell out! All the Skeleton Warriors are dead. Decided to skip ahead a little bit. Oh my god, your poor soul. Yes, blow up! Blow up! And there we go. Hope you enjoyed the battle, everybody. I'll see you all next time. Take care.